Greetings everyone, this is Eldad Amara, back with another video. I want to ask you all a question out there. There are so many stores now that's closing down in the UK, but why? And it's not just the UK, because if you look at America, Canada, Germany, Italy, the same things are happening there also. But why are all these stores closing down and what's taking their place? Now people are starting to use cashless money. They're starting to use the digital cards more frequently in stores. And you know what? A lot of people are also going to the self-checkout service. So when people go into these self-checkout services, what do you honestly think is going to happen in the future to those people who are presently working in these stores? You think of the cashiers, the people that's working on the tills, the people that do all the stock taking. What will happen to those jobs or those people in the future? Have you ever sat down to really think about it? You know what's going to happen? If we keep having all these self-checkout services, eventually you'll have nobody working in these shops. And so therefore, these people will be losing their jobs. And guess what? You will be a contributing part of why people haven't got any jobs. You see, cash people is king. You should be using cash wherever possible. Because if we go digital, and especially after CBDC, which is central bank digital currency, if that comes into force, which the government now in the UK are trying to do, they're trying to bring into force. And I believe in Jamaica, they've actually bought this in already, the CBDCs. That means that you'll have digital currency, which is controlled by central government, not local government, by central government. And if they bring in this other thing, which is called the social credit system, or the social credit score, what do you think is going to happen then? You see, like places like China, they have the social credit score as well as digital ID. Now, people in the future will be limited as to where they can spend their money, how they can spend their money, and with whom. And if the credit score system comes in, governments will award you for those things that you've done well. And for those other people who haven't been following the government's consensus, guess what will happen to those people? They will lose their social credit scores. So if you go on the internet and you say something that the government does not like, you know what they'll do? They'll take your video down and they'll also stop you having a certain amount of social credit scores. Or they could stop you from traveling. So if you want to go on holiday to Brazil or to Portugal, and you've planned all this with your family to go away, now you've done something wrong the government does not like, they can take away points and therefore stop you from traveling. Is this the kind of life that you really want? Is this the kind of life that you want for you and your children? Because if it isn't, you should seriously be considering why you're using digital money. Everything is going digital now. You have digital TVs, smart TV, smart phones, smart computers, smart meters. Now they're trying to bring in smart cars. What do you think is going to happen in the future if, say, you don't pay for your tax on your car? Do you know that they can just stop the car wherever you're actually driving? They can do this remotely. They can limit how far you travel remotely. In your house, you might have your temperature up to a certain degree. Now, if the government's saying you're using too much energy and it's affecting the carbon emissions, you know what they're going to do? They're going to pull down the temperature within your home. If you're found to be using too many different appliances, and it's affecting the sustainable goals which the WEF and the UN, that's the United Nations, and the World Economic Forum. If you're found to be breaching the regulations in terms of the amount of emissions and energy that you are using up, do you know that they can turn down your gas suppliance, for example, or your electricity suppliance if you do not pay for your bills? Do you know that they can cut you off remotely? They don't need to come into your home. So many people are starting to use their digital cards, and they're not thinking about the future, and they're not thinking about other people and people losing their jobs. And what are you going to do when you lose your job? Is it then that you pay attention to what's really going on in the system? You see as well, young people, they don't have a point of reference like us older people. They don't remember days when you had to put a coin into a telephone box to be able to make a telephone call. They don't remember the days of having just one telephone in your house. They don't remember the days of having just 3 television stations. And there's a whole heap of other things. Now we're in this digital age. I have a point of reference. I can reference back to some of these things that we used to have that no longer exist. And young people wouldn't understand because they have no point of reference. They're growing up in this digital age. And I'm not saying that the digital age is not a bad thing, but to the point where it starts to take over people's jobs. Is this fair? Is this just? Is this right? Shouldn't there be some kind of balance? Now you've got avatars. Now you've got algorithms. Now you've got robots, and they're working in places like hospitals. They're working in places like they're working in places like Amazon, picking out items and putting them on shelves ready to be sent out. Do you know that in the UK, Morrison's, I believe it was, but please correct me if I'm wrong, Morrison's, they had a self-automated store with nobody working inside the store. I believe Amazon also had this, but please correct me if I'm wrong. And people could download the app. Then the app will be checked and regulated. Make sure that name, address, and all the rest of the details are correct. And then you'll be able to take this app, go to a store, and buy goods. You'll be able to buy your bread, your milk, your eggs, your fruit, your alcohol, and all the rest of it. In actual fact, that system has become much more sophisticated now. You have baskets, and you can put the goods into your basket, and it will weigh it. It will be able to specify what goods you put in your basket. It will have the price, and it will be costing up all the prices of all the items that you are putting into your basket. Then all you have to do when you go to checkout is just swipe your card, and it's all paid for. There's no human beings there in the store. None. So tell me the future. So people, please tell me the future. What is the future going to look like? If people have no jobs, where are they going to go? What are they going to be doing? Unless you're specialised in working with computer technology, what sort of job are you going to have? What is your future? What is the future for your children? If you willingly go and start spending money, if you willingly go and start using digital cards and you know it's going to put people out of a job, then you think in the end it will be to your demise also. You're not thinking about the future. You're simply not thinking about the future. You're thinking about your own self-interest. What about humanity? What about humanity? Don't you care enough about humanity? If this cashless society comes in, it may be to your own demise. To your own demise. Since we came into this world, people, we have been conditioned by a system. We have been conditioned, and not just me, but all of us. There have been certain systems set up, and it was before we came on this planet. You have religion and religious institutions, politics, political institutions, economic institutions. What else? You have the 5 Ps, prison, psychiatry, pharmacy. What else? Psychology. And there's more than 5 Ps actually. Then you've got your TV, which tells lies to you visually. It tells lies to you visually every day, and you're watching this. And what else have we got? We've got libraries, where lies are buried. There's so many things in history that are incorrect, that are lies, but they say that the winners of the wars tell the history. They record the story. Did Christopher Columbus find the Americas? If there's people already living there, how could he have found that? We're not told about how black people in the past have travelled round the globe several times over. We circumnavigated the globe. That's not in your history books. The same thing for the Chinese. You have not been told about the Chinese, how they circumnavigated the globe also several times over. You've never been told about how some of those inventions, some of those things that we use now, modern inventions, were created by black people. Go back and have a look at some of the patents. For example, have a look at an inventor called the real McCoy. And you've heard the term, the real McCoy. Where does this come from? See how many inventions the real McCoy had invented. Go look at Robert Lightbourne Bogle, who is a cousin to me. Now, he was an inventor from Jamaica, and he worked in the UK. He also created Jamaica's national anthem. So many things have been told to us that are incorrect, but there are some people out there now starting to wake up from the bull, but we need a lot more other people to start to wake up. These institutions that are being created, such as politics, you have the left and the right. Same with religion. You have Protestants versus Catholics. Okay? You have all these various different religions. And one will think that they're superior to the other. The same with political parties and the parties that you vote for. The same with your jobs. You're divided in terms of the jobs that you do. Your education, you're divided in terms of the education that you do. So when I turn around and I say to people, we have all been conditioned by a system. We've been following another person's narrative and not our own. But now people are starting to wake up and seeing that a lot of things that have been passed down to us has been through indoctrination. And now one of the biggest forms of indoctrination at the moment is mobile phones, because you can get almost anything at all on your mobile phone. You can look up almost anything at all on your mobile phone. Your mobile phone, your smartphone, is a mini computer. The thing is as well that this smartphone is also a device which is surveilling you. It knows everything that you do, everywhere you go, everyone you're talking to, all your photographs, every keystroke, every single thing. And now, when they bring in the CBDC, central bank digital currency, put those two things together, you will have no freedom. Every single thing you purchase all your friends, your money, where you go on holiday. It will all be centrally controlled, and all information will be centrally controlled. And these government agencies can sell the information if they want it to private companies. Is this the kind of life that you really want for your family and for your children? Think about it. Too many people are walking around with their eyes wide shut instead of having their eyes wide open. Let me say that again. Too many people are walking around with their eyes wide shut when their eyes should be wide open. Too many people are interested in entertainment and TV programs. And as the poet Juvenal said, give the people bread and circuses. That way the minds are so focused on that you can be doing something behind their back. This is organizations. They can be doing things behind people's backs by giving them bread and entertainment to focus on. Many of us aren't using our common sense. Common central perception. Common central perception. That is where they want you to be. So you're like having a herd-like mentality, as opposed to having a common individual perception. Anyway, people, it's up to you. But I know that I'm going to get together with groups of people who I know have a similar outlook on life to what I do. I am not going to let fear be the thing that stops me from doing what I want to do. I will let love guide me and not fear. And this is what you should be doing too. Think seriously about the future, and think about the future for your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. And before I go, they reckon that something like 70% of jobs within the next 20 years will be done via computers and robots. Do you hear me? 70% of jobs in the next 20 years will be done by computers and robots. You need to wake up. Don't have your eyes wide shut. It's time to have your eyes wide open. This is Eldad Amara, over and out.